It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are your podcast for relatable and relevant conversations with contractors. Episode 73 today. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Today we have Jay Valentine Martinez, President and CEO of JVM Landscape Construction. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Jay?
Doing real good, Mike. Doing good, Brian. How are you guys today?
Good. Thanks
Great.
for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So kind of as we get started here, give us a little history, how you got started in this industry in particular and that road to where you are now as CEO of JVM Landscape.
Certainly. Yeah, thanks so much. And again, thanks again for having me on the show today. As I was thinking about, the podcast coming up, really, I guess what's probably the most interesting is that it was sort of non-traditional for me. And, you think you're going to go somewhere in life and then, life just sort of does this kind of curly way and you end up where you're at. So that definitely happened to me. Landscaping has really always been part of my life in one way or another. My dad had his own landscape company in the 90s here in Sacramento, California. So I grew up watching him do that. He really did kind of more maintenance. And so, I wasn't too sure if I would want to do exactly what he did as a career. So I did help him, on jobs, things like that. He did work for residential homes, but also some small commercial properties as well. So after that point in time, I just wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to Sacramento State University here in Sacramento. And then I wasn't too sure still what I wanted to do. I ended up majoring in philosophy and a lot of thinking, but, I wasn't too sure exactly, again, what the heck I'm going to do. And, they had an attorney come in and say, hey, this is a great major for law. And I thought, okay, great. Maybe, I'll look into that. And so still during college, I'm still helping my dad out here, part-time, working in landscaping, doing irrigation, a little bit more of that. And then also some maintenance as well. And we were sort of at that point, kind of just getting into doing some hardscape and concrete, things like that. So after that, I went into law school, did a year of that. And after that, I just kind of felt like I didn't really want to sue people for a living. So I said, hey, I think I'll look into seeing, what my dad's doing. And so, we had a good conversation. And after, a long discernment, we decided to open up the company, JVM Landscape. So it was me who did the sort of backbone and paperwork of it. And then we decided my dad would really sort of think about the operation. So we started that operation in 2013. It didn't start right away where we're just making all this money and, having all these clients. It just didn't happen that way. It happened very slowly. And since that point in time, we've grown to where we are today. We have a staff of 12. We have 2 crews, and we're very proud of what we do. What we specialize now in is landscape design and build. So we'll work with you on, your backyard, front yard, make a CAD design for you, and then subsequently install the landscaping, whether that be the softscape, work with you on the horticulture, water features, pavers. Just really want to make that, that beautiful backyard for you.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Was there any point in time or was there any had your dad's business stopped before you guys started JVM in 2013? Was there a downtime where he wasn't doing anything, or what was that transition like?
Yeah, so he was continuing to work in the landscape industry, but of course, as once 2008 hit, work just really took a hit for him. But he had continued to do landscaping. It was just less of it, and so it was a pretty tough time for him because again, he's really very skilled in the craftsmanship of it. But as far as finding the work, a lot of people, contractors especially, were kind of hit, especially if you're kind of a solo contractor at that point in time. But yeah, he had continued to work through there, and I was still in college at the time, and still helping him out whenever I could, and just sort of unknowingly, but kind of honing my skills as far as installing plants, understanding the horticulture aspect of things, what plants go where it makes sense, and how it all comes together to be beautiful.
So was there any point of education at all between, you might be the most overqualified landscape guy that I know of with a major in philosophy and you know, and some law school in you. But was there any transition of education between, you know, that type of education to, like you said, I mean, there's stuff to know about planning and horticulture and you know, irrigation and all those other things, or was that just stuff that you learned on the job from your dad?
Yeah, no, great question. Surprisingly, as I found after starting JVM Landscape and, you know, going throughout the years, I definitely feel that there was a bit of a transition as far as the education I got and growing the business. So the reasoning for that is, you know, at least with the philosophy major and that sort of background, you're able to really just really think critically and sort of just communicate and work with people. So I think that was very helpful, you know, and as far as being specific, that's very helpful as far as, you know, understanding what a client wants and, you know, subsequently conveying that to, you know, our field out into the crew. So I think that communication was very key. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's definitely necessary to go to college to do this line of work, but it was helpful.
Yeah.
I would do it again. But I think really what, as far as key is running a contracting business is really that grit, you know, understanding things aren't going to go 100% perfect, especially in the beginning. And I think that grit and that positivity is really what sort of drove me. I did football in high school, and so that sort of really stuck with me as far as, you know, not giving up and going the extra mile and working hard and just really pushing through. So I think that sort of stuck with me, even though I didn't play high school football in college. So I think really those were the kind of the more of the key, I think, ingredients as far as running a business.
Yeah. What was your dad's thoughts on going from that residential maintenance? I imagine he was kind of a mow and blow kind of guy that, you know, maybe did some other little things, but going to somebody that's doing full hardscape and install and design, how, was that something he was interested in that you just brought to the next level, or how did that conversation go, kind of moving into that new sector?
Definitely. Yeah. It was something that was new and it was challenging, you know, and so I think the flexibility that we had to take on those extra services and to, you know, challenge ourselves to offer those products really is what made us be able to offer those products. So, for instance, concrete pavers, we had done some here and there, you know, nothing too big. But really what it ended up happening is we wanted to challenge ourselves and make sure we were doing it to industry standards, things like that. So we joined a couple of organizations here in Sacramento. We're part of the California Landscape Contractors Associations. And through that organization, we found other organizations kind of specialize in hardscape. And we took those classes. We met the manufacturers and just learned how to really install them to industry standards. So I think really, it's just challenging yourself to do something new. It was still within our wheelhouse, so it's not like we were trying to build a pool or something. But you know, it made sense, and we really started doing that. And over the years, we just got really good at it. And so I think again, it's that pushing of yourself, which is going to help you in as far as having a business, running a contracting business.
You started with just you and your dad. What was the hiring process, and what kind of guys were you looking for or girls to bring on? How were you guys going about building that team of like you said, 12 now methodically? Yeah. What was that process like?
Well, you know, as we started getting more busier, we did realize we needed help, but we just had to really figure out the logistics of it. So we had to. It was a little bit scary at first bringing on our first guy. Say, okay, well, every Friday, you know, we're paying X amount of money, you know, and then we're doing the payroll and the taxes. So we took on another bill. And so in the beginning, it's a little bit scary, but the way I see it is you have your sales there at the top, and, you know, you have the contract there where you'll, you know, hopefully come to a great agreement with the client to where it's beneficial to both parties and you'll be able to execute it. And so really it's just managing that money and understanding, you know, where it's going to be going. And we figure, hey, you know, he's going to be on the job X amount of hours, you know, throughout the life of the job. We have to put that into, you know, whatever it is. Exactly. Yeah. The operating costs there. And so we took it slow. It went really well there. And then it just continued to, after we got, 4 of our employees there on the payroll, it just started making sense because they were closing up jobs quicker. And at that point in time, the flow of money's coming in quicker. So
yeah,
it was making sense at that point. And even with workman's comp and all these crazy things, it's still working out. So I think the due diligence is very important. I think some great resources on that are, as far as the landscaping side, are looking in the California Landscape Contractors Association. They just got great education to sort of deal with these things as they come up. And then the ICPI, which is a paver hardscape kind of organization that's sort of geared to help educate contractors and business owners on understanding that. So I think those are great resources. Again, didn't get into college. You got some of the other kind of general stuff at college, but as far as landscapers and hardscapers, I think those are just fantastic organizations to be a part of, and it's really worth the money. It's a little bit of a fee to be a part of those organizations, but the payback's enormous. So,
so when you're hiring people, are you looking for guys that have any level of experience, or are you hiring somebody that kind of fits what you can train and teach and kind of teach what you guys are doing?
Initially, we wanted to find someone who was really just sort of mechanically inclined and that could work hard. So I think that's probably the most important thing that we were looking for in the beginning, not necessarily for the experience. Over time, when we started, after we hired 2 employees who had those skills, they didn't come from the industry, but they worked really hard. And throughout the years, they've gained those skills. So again, a little bit of a risk in that, you bring someone up, you train them, and then they could leave you for another job. But we've been lucky that hasn't happened to us. And now actually we had just hired someone who has 10 years of experience. So really, I think still initially what we look for are qualities of someone who's mechanically inclined, because we're going to be doing a lot of technical items as far as irrigation, pumps, and even understanding the grade of a backyard, things like that. And then just really someone who wants to work hard, and job isn't really for everyone, because you get it is hot. It's kind of almost a calling in a way. And as you may or may not know, millennials kind of just don't like this work. Be playing Xbox or something like that. So I think those are kind of the qualities that we mostly look for. And to that point, I really think there's a lot of potential in the landscape and construction industry in general. I was watching a documentary actually just last night. My wife's sort of involved in politics here in Sacramento, but there was a statement made by an economist from, I think, Stanford or something, and his thesis was essentially, well, the American dream isn't really alive anymore. You can't really work your way up. You can't make it so your children have a better life for you. And I just said, well, if you're willing to work in construction, work in the trades, that's totally not the case.
Yeah.
So I fundamentally disagreed with that. I think I feel so blessed to be able to have a business and run it and run it ethically and responsibly. So I think there's a lot of potential, in the green industry, landscape industry, or construction industry in general, to be able to start your way up and continue to work your way up and to do great things. So I definitely believe that and know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we probably couldn't agree more with you. It's kind of sad to see the push towards 4-year education and away from some of the blue collar work that like you said, I mean, with a little bit of hard work, you could start your own business. You don't even have to work for anybody. You can come out of high school starting your own business.
Yeah, totally can be done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think for so long there's been this mentality, and we've talked about this before, us kids, and dad had to do this so that we don't have to, so we could go to college and get that education and work behind a desk all day long. Right. And I think if you're coming at it from that aspect, that white collar, I mean, it's very saturated in terms of, even when I came out of college 20 years ago, I came out of college during the Al Gore, George W. Bush showdown between who was going to be president for like 2 or 3 months. Right. And then the economy went, into a tailspin, and I couldn't find a job to save my life. So what I started doing, ironically, there was a guy on my parents' street that owned a landscape construction company. actually went to go work for him for a little bit. And he paid me really well. I mean, paid me really well. I got free meals every day. I mean, so, but I mean, now I was just a laborer. Eventually I ended up going back into white collar work. But the point is that I think that we've veered away, that this is the ideal that we need. This is the American dream. And it's not. The American dream is to have freedom and to choose what you want to do and to be able to build that lifestyle that you want to do and pursue that happiness that you're looking for. So, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you put on a suit and tie and sit in a job all day long with air conditioning. I think sometimes, coming from that side of things, although we don't wear suits and ties anymore, but sometimes there's this longing to get out of the fluorescent lights, right? To get out and do something that's actually meaningful. So we talk to contractors daily, and, kind of the theme that we hear is this idea of like, you don't need to go to school. A lot of these guys that 2021 are making more cash than guys that are accruing student loan debt and putting themselves basically pigeonholing themselves into a cage for the next 10, 15 years. So
absolutely. Cool. I couldn't agree more.
Although you went to college, so you understand. And I had a roommate in college. It was a philosophy major.
So you definitely see both sides of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a great, it's a great, observation, and I find it to be true. Just living life as a contractor.
Yeah.
Well, so
go ahead.
Yeah. So circling back to kind of your hiring process and who you're looking for, that mechanically minded individual. What are you doing to kind of figure out whether or not they are that caliber individual? In terms of hiring.
Yeah, and where are you finding them?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, as far as whether or not we sort of find out what as far as the skills out, as far as trying to dig in and find those skills, we really ask kind of what we start kind of simple and sort of ask what their hobbies are, and just kind of get to know them as a person, and just after that we'll ask the formal questions and things like that, but then we'll sort of get the sense to where that this could possibly be a good fit for him. One of our guys, he really just enjoyed cars. He enjoyed classic cars. He loved taking them apart, bringing them together, trying different wheels on this car, larger wheels, smaller wheels, bigger tires, smaller tires. And we're just like, oh, you'd be perfect.
You're the one.
If you like doing things like that and being hands-on, really that's just a key that, a flag goes up and says, hey, you could be good at this, because we're installing valves that are connected to the main lines at a home, and they were putting in a manifold, and then this whole system just starts to begin to come. And so someone who has that in mind would really thrive, as far as being a hands-on person. As far as where we found them, surprisingly, we found a couple of them through friends of family, through church, so kind of non-traditional there. But we have looked at traditional websites. We did find one of our latest employees through Craigslist, but we did put that up, in conjunction with a couple other websites. I think we also put it on Facebook Market, and we also had it on this last one that just can't recall the name of it.
Indeed.
ZipRecruiter.
Oh, ZipRecruiter. Yep.
Yeah. So really, when we have an opening, we have a need, we really just sort of just look at the couple of the main ones out there and probably put the posting in about 3 different places. So that's pretty much where we find them. I did look at my alma mater too, Sacramento State, but I didn't get much applications there, because again, it kind of goes back to your
my soapbox.
So, like, I don't want to do this. I want to go be a gamer or something.
Right.
So,
have my 1 million followers on YouTube and
right. Yeah. So that's kind of where it is right now. But again, just tremendous potential to do great things in our industry.
Is your dad still involved in the business? And if so, like, what is your management breakdown? What kind of responsibilities do you have, and what kind of team do you have around you?
Great. Yeah, he's definitely still involved. He's essentially is what you think of as the director of operations. So he manages the crew foreman. We have 2 foremen, and just really directs them, what to do on the job and what needs to get done, during a daily basis. So he sort of runs the day-to-day operations through that. For me, I do the consulting, and then also, the sales of it. So I'll meet with homeowners and, review the yard and just give advice and start to kind of go take it from there. And so my dad actually jumps into that role a little bit too. So he probably does that probably about part-time. So he works a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not doing that, I'm working the financials and the rest of what needs to get done as far as all the crazy regulations, insurances, all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. So you guys are a two-man show over there, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. As far as the management side of things.
Management. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have two really great office gals that just really just do a great job and just
keep you in order.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys send out the design to a firm to kind of do the design, or are you guys doing all the drawings and all that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, after all this was happening, my sister, she was seeing all this sort of in action, and she wanted to be involved too. She ended up going to a community college and doing her landscape design degree.
Okay.
And so she did that, and she just recently joined in with the company, and now she's doing drawings with us as well. So she's kind of the main person that we use for our drawings and CAD design. So she's really talented with all that stuff, a bunch of computers up everywhere, things like that. And then we have another person that helps us out part-time doing the designs as well. So
very cool.
We do all the designing in-house.
Got a whole family business.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Bringing
nice.
the whole family in.
Well, you can trust, who,
Right.
what to expect, right?
Yeah. So involved that way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the issues that you guys have to kind of get through or face on a daily basis, and kind of how do you tackle some of those things?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest issue would be working and communicating with our client, and it goes well. And the reason it goes well is, again, because we have good communication with them. Sometimes our client will want to make a lot of changes, and they'll change it from here to there, and sometimes that can create some
the whole thing.
Yeah. But at the same time, we do have the leverage and the resources to, move all these items from here to there, and usually it's not a problem. It can become a problem if you build a whole structure and a waterfall and the feature says, hey, I'd like to move it 10 feet that way. So that becomes a problem. So we try to make sure we communicate with them and say, this is where it's going to be going. Here's the specification on it. Here's how high this is going to be. And really just kind of digging in the details with our client at that point in time so they know what to expect. And so because of that, we're able to have success there.
Yeah, so I mean, we interview guys all across the gamut from residential to commercial and everything in between. But I feel like that's probably one of the biggest differences between somebody doing a lot of residential work versus somebody doing a lot of commercial, right? You do a lot of commercial work, it's pretty easy, right? Those people have money, they know what they want. It's here it is, do it, get it done quickly, moving on. With residential, there's so much. Well, maybe I don't like that. Well, maybe we should do that over here. Maybe, yeah. So I'd like to your point. I think, if that's something you're going to do in residential, you got to make sure, communication and 100% transparency, and because that's the worst, right? Is as a homeowner, you don't know where your project's at or what's going to happen next or where things are going, or So, like I said, over communication is probably one of those key factors with residential, and it's. Obviously, you guys are successful for a reason because you figured that out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest, distinguisher there of some homeowner that's still nonchalant on something, and versus we've worked with some churches and apartment complexes to where, hey, this is just the spec, let's get it done, and that's kind of that. So and really, I think what's nice about working through that is sort of setting that expectation with the client. And just saying, here's where it's going to go. Here's a specification on it. We'll mark it out for you. What are your questions? And sort of really dig down and make it more concrete. As concrete as possible really would be the best way to work with,
pun intended, right? Pun intended.
Yeah, there you go.
So from a marketing standpoint, what are you guys doing for marketing and generating business?
Yeah, so for marketing right now, we use just a lot of different avenues really to attract the ideal client for us. And again, when we work with someone, we want it to be beneficial to both parties. We want to do a great job and continue to be a great moral and ethical company while delivering a prestigious product. So as far as finding our clients, it started really with word of mouth. That was a good one.
Right.
Just letting friends and family members know that, we're in business, and they eventually tell their friends. And in the beginning stages, that's a good way to go about doing business and advertising. Another thing that we use is social media. So we stay active and post at least once a week on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, and make sure we, are putting content out there to make sure that not only are people knowing more of what we do, but we also are, again, sort of putting that out there in the universe and attracting, clients that way. We're part of the Better Business Bureau as well. And so we do get leads with them. We're on their directory, and that's worked out really well. We have a local chapter here in Sacramento, and it's good to be a part with them as well. And then also with the organizations I was mentioning earlier, the CLCA and ICPI, we've gotten leads, through them. So again, that's sort of an added benefit of being a part of them. And of course, you have to pay, a little bit of money, but again, it's kind of you make that up on one job pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I think between that and then sort of the other kind of cliche sort of ways that we do is we have company trucks that, that give us recognition. So we'll get calls through there or yard signs. And then sometimes we'll even flyer out during a neighborhood that we're at where we feel would be good to go. So just kind of a lot of different avenues that we use there. And we really just work those, make sure we stay on top of that. And right now, especially with COVID and all that, I mean, more people are at home. So again, you probably heard this from other contractors, but we're tending to stay busy. So
yeah, that seems to be the theme. It's people sitting at home staring at the backyard they don't want anymore.
I would really like
or so much more outdoor entertaining too, right? Like people feel the need to be outdoors rather than, especially if you're stuck inside all day, right? Like you want to be outdoors as much as you can. So yeah, I mean, I feel like your business is probably one of those ones that's primed for this this pandemic or whatever we're in right now.
I was going to ask, how was it at the beginning? And I know up in Northern California, I think it was quite a bit more restrictive than it was down here. But in terms of, if you could kind of explain the experience of what your guys went through at the very beginning back in March and to where you're at right now, it sounds like you guys have opened up quite a bit in terms of your business and all that. But yeah, if you can explain that experience.
Certainly. Yeah, thanks. Well, of course, as you know, as it happened there in March, we got that executive order from the governor that said, unless you're in these essential businesses, you're closing down.
You're done.
And so when I saw that, I was like, oh boy, here, kind of nervous, like, okay, are we essential? Are we not? And so we got an email through CLCA, and they put out an email to all their members saying, according to our attorney, we are essential. And so we fit in under the green category of infrastructure and making sure things are safe. And so at that point in time, after looking at the data and looking at that data probably more than I would have liked to, but after looking at it, I said, okay, well, let's continue to do operations, because we were currently on two large projects at that time, March, when things are just starting to really warm up. And we had just continued to work through there. We were doing a lot of hardscape and stuff that was essential really to that home, and drainage, all these things. So we had just continued to work through it. We had just stayed safe and wore masks. I made sure my guys had hand sanitizers. I printed out like 20 documents and put them in the trucks in case they were pulled over, saying they were essential, with a letter from the attorney. Right, so that was kind of madness. And yeah, it was just kind of interesting just seeing no cars on the road during that time. We were getting to places quicker, kind of getting out of the supply stores quicker. But yeah, so that's sort of where we started there. And as far as where we were at, we sort of continued the same thing. We kind of always kind of social distanced in a way. So, I mean, that was good. We were always outside. That was good. We've had great hygiene. All these things sort of played into our favor as far as that pandemic was concerned. I think the only thing that was concerning to me initially was, if one of our crew members or any of our staff had gotten sick, then I think I would have probably have to have taking a couple weeks off from a project or something like that. Right. And that's not exactly helpful to the, to the business account. But, it is what it is. But we've been good. We've been okay. And, we've still continued to stay diligent, and we know winter's coming up. So, again, sort of same thing. If something for guys happen to get, a seasonal cold, which is probably going to happen, that's just life happens. We're just going to stay diligent, stay responsible, and just continue to truck forward. I think really there's only two options really. It's really kind of contracting or just going forward. And we've just continued, have decided to go forward and, responsibly.
Yeah,
very cool, man.
I feel like I've heard that a lot too, especially lately, like when you experience something that's trying, especially in terms of the business, it's like, do you like you said, do you contract and pull back or do you push forward, and rather than just staying stagnant? And the businesses that seem to be doing really well right now have decided very intentionally, I'm going to lean into the wind and push uphill and get this done. And it sounds like you guys are.
It's kind of paying off right now. You get over that hill and now you're seeing the rewards of being one of the few that are open and still working and probably getting more work than you normally do.
Yep.
Yeah, but couldn't be more true. And to your point there, Mike. We've probably we're kind of we've kind of the most work we've ever had actually.
Yeah. That's awesome.
As it is. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and that's another kind of point to again, going to kind of circling back with the younger generation that just may not want to do this work. I mean, there's again a lot of potential. There's a lot of jobs that unfortunately have been struggling, but there's just a good opportunity here in the construction industry to do good things.
Yeah. So what does the future look like for you guys? How far out are you guys looking, and what's the plan for 5, 7, 8 years?
Great. Yeah. It's really sort of, the plan is to just continue to hone our skills. I've even grown a lot over the past years as far as understanding, horticulture and what just looks good, in real life. I know I could take a billion classes of this stuff, and then at the end of the day, it'll be a little bit different than what the final product is. So really that's coming with experience and just understanding, the overall layout of just a beautiful landscape, what that looks like, and working with a client to accomplish that, whether it's your front yard or backyard at a residential home. So yeah, the future is really just honing our skills and growing, not ultra fast, but slowly. We know that we can, reasonably add, some staff as needs grow, and just continue to get efficient. I think that's probably one of the biggest keys that we've really decided to adopt in our operations to make things better for everyone. It's just to be more efficient. How can we save time? Not going to the supply store 3 times, and how can we make it one? Or how can we accomplish this faster? Or how can we eliminate waste in this way? So really gaining efficiencies and really and investing in ourselves. So I think that's really what the future looks like. And I think if things continue to go this way and go well, I'd like to continue to expand. I think it's great that, I'm pretty happy with the fact that we have employees that have been with us, that are not my family members that have been with us. They enjoy what they do, and I try my best to give them a positive work environment and a place to where, they can be proud of what they do. So many other workplaces are not like that. They're just sort of, data driven and money driven. Versus here, we want to have a space to work, someplace to call home, and create a great work environment where, you can be happy. We have one life, and I really I appreciate the time that they give to the company. So it means a lot.
Very cool, man. Well, we appreciate the time. We'll let you get running and get back to being productive. But before we do, want to give you a chance to give your shout outs, give your plugs, let the people know where to find you, social media, websites, phone numbers, whatever they can do.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, again, JVM Landscape, we're a design build contractor for residential homes. Our goal is to work with our client and, create a beneficial relationship to create the yard of your dreams, or just a beautiful yard back there for you to enjoy with your family, to make great and long time memories with, and to beautify your property, increase your home value. So you can find us at jvmlandscapes.com. That's our website there. And then you could find us on Instagram at JVM_landscape. And then for Facebook, it would be at Landscape Contractor. So
awesome.
Not totally unified, but
whatever happens, man.
Yeah.
It's all about the link though, like click, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or just straight Google us, JVM Landscape. We're here in Sacramento. We serve the couple different counties around here: Placer County, El Dorado County, Yolo County, and then Sacramento County. So we have the presence here. And, again, we strive to be a responsible company that does excellent work. And also, be a moral company and work with our clients to create a beautiful, beautiful landscape.
Very cool, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate the time, Jay. Thanks so much. Stay safe out there and keep in touch.
Will do. Thank you, Brian. And hey, let me know when all this clears up. I'd love to come visit you guys in person and maybe do another podcast in person.
Yeah,
sounds
that'd be
good,
great.
man.
We got a mic right over here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm there, man.
All right, Jay, thanks so much. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.